Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods.
Now there's one thing that all car owners have to deal with on a yearly basis, and no, it's not cleaning bodily fluid off the backseat after a lucky New Year's Eve, it's registration.
Once a year, a mechanic goes over your car and checks out anything that might be a safety concern.
But this can be really expensive if you've got an older car, like a Chimera for example, which is what I had when I was young, and it didn't get fast rego because the clutch pedal rubber was a little bit worn. The mechanic didn't seem to notice that the Chimera only had 3 wheels.
So with the right tools and a bit of know-how, we can show you how to save some big bucks at rego time.
Let's do it!
This is a 1994 Nissan Pulsar. They were hugely popular in Australia and the UK, and they're good value for money. You can pick them up for next to nothing these days. Now ours isn't perfect, but the engine has low Ks and the body's pretty straight, so it's worth saving. New South Wales rego inspections give you 2 chances to pass. That way, you have time to fix any problems that the inspection uncovers and take it back to get checked again.
Buddy, listen, this Pulsar here is a piece of shit. Basically, it's fucked. It's not going to pass the inspection. The brakes are fucked. The steering's fucked. CVs are fucked. Come here and get this piece of shit out of my shop.
As you can see, the Pulsar's going to need a bit of work.
And the current rego runs out in 3 days.
I thought it had a week.
It did 4 days ago. So a lot of the time you can tell what's wrong with a car just by listening. Power steering, brakes, CVs. That's it so far. So we're going to tackle the hardest job first, and that's changing the drive shafts. Jack up the car and sit it on an axle stand. Safety first. Remove unwanted wheel dressings. Remove the split pin and buy yourself a brand new one the same size. Sometimes you might find your tools insufficient for the job. In that case, you need to upgrade. It takes a lot of torque to crack the drive shaft bolts. Make sure you've got the right tools for the job, and if not, get a bigger pole. This works better when the car's still on the ground. So the brakes are actually so worn on the front of this car that it's no longer using the brake pads, it's metal on metal. Check it out. Crack the caliper bolts and pull them off. Looks like we'll be rebuilding these calipers as well. Make yourself some hooks out of old clothes hangers and hang the calipers up out of the way. You don't want any strain on the rubber hoses. The old discs were chewed out. We'll need to replace with brand new ones. Next, the lower control arm has to come off, and that means popping the lower ball joint, which is difficult usually. Use a puller or it's hammer time. Once the arm's out of the way, you can start removing the shaft. You'll need to pop them out of the gearbox using some leverage. So we've got the old drive shafts out and we're going to put in a set of reconditioned ones. Reconditioned drive shafts are cheap and they'll often exchange for your old ones. Refit the rest of the parts and repeat for the opposite side of the car. Next, we're tackling the brakes. First up, clamp the caliper line to minimise spillage. WD-40 will help loosen stiff parts. Keep a drain pan handy to catch the old fluid in the lines and the caliper. Get your calipers on a bench and pop out the old pads. These ones had almost nothing left. Pull the caliper apart and pop out the brake cylinder. There is a bunch of ways to do this, so check your own service manual. The brake parts have to be super clean. All the seals should be installed wet with brake fluid. Press them into their grooves with your fingers. If you use a sharp object, you'll very likely ruin your brand new seal. The brake cylinder seal can be tricky. Be patient. Grease the slides if your calipers have them and reassemble your caliper. Next step, new pads. This is easy on a workbench. It's really important to get as much of the rust and scale as you can off this hub before you fit the new discs. Sandpaper and a wire brush should do the trick. Manufacturers always recommend checking run out or the wobble of your wheel bearings before installing. These tools are expensive, so if your car chews out a set of rotors fast, you may have wheel bearing issues. It's important to clean all the protective oil off the rotors, as well as any marks you've left. Reattach the caliper to the hub. Wrap a cloth around the brake master cylinder to prevent spillage. This stuff will eat your paint. Use a quality spanner and a brake bleeding kit to make this process easy. Refit the wheels and tighten the wheel nuts. Drop the car down and tighten up the drive shaft nuts tight, then refit a new split pin. This car leaks power steering fluid badly, causing the pump to run dry and sound like this. Next up, we've got to fix the leaky power steering. Now, if we're lucky, it's just going to be a broken pipe. If we're unlucky, we're going to be pulling out the entire rack. Visually check the system for wet hoses or oil and dirt stains. The whole system seems clean except for where the cooling pipes connect at the front of the car. We'll need to remove the headlights to get to it. It's much easier to work with everything clean. Get busy with the degreaser. Catch any draining fluid with an oil pan. We're replacing a short piece of hose and using 2 new quality hose clamps to keep it all together. Finally, everything's back together. We've sealed up the system as best we can. Now it's time to fill it up and check for leaks. Use a quality power steering fluid to fill the system. Turn the wheels a few times to get the fluid through and then top up as necessary. Then check the level on the power steering fluid reservoir. So all the hard work is done. There's just a few more finishing touches that we want to do before we get it inspected.
There isn't much point going to all this effort if it looks like you don't care about how your car looks. Degrease your engine bay and give the car a good wash. We got these floor mats for $10. There's some UHS on the back seat, that's unidentified human slime that needs to be cleaned up.
Human slime.
Our driver's seat was looking pretty worn out, but rather than spend big bucks on a new one, we've made it look better and prevent more wear and tear with a slip-on seat cover. With logo, of course. You know how good making a car black can be. I sent Marty to pick up some bling wheels for our ride, and he came back with these things. And well, they're not wonderful, but they were only $40. These snap onto the factory steel wheels and straight away make the car look like a Lamborghini. Okay, so the car's looking heaps better than when we first got it. Now it's time to take the car back to the workshop and see if we can get through our second round of rego inspections.
It's gonna pass, it's gonna pass, it's going to pass.
And we got the rego. Alright, so there it is. It started off as a crap car and we've magically transformed it into a crap car with rego.
It might be crap, but it'll get us from A to B.
Okay, dude, what are we going to do with it now? Do you like that, Martin?